Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I'm going to be working on a reel that was sent in. It got dunked. This was from Brian. He said it was pretty much a new reel, and it took a trip on the briny sea. It went under. You can hear it. It's got a scrape and a sound to it that, well, it just says that micro sands and salts and the like have probably gotten inside of it. We're going to see what we can do. This is the Daiwa Legalis. It's the LT6000D. I did a little prep work here. I went out to the internet and I found the schematic for the reel. It comes in two versions. There was a 2017 release and a 2020 release. They look identical, but I'm not sure which one I have, and if I need to reference that, I will. You're going to see some water from time to time. The first thing that I did was take the reel and just put it in a bucket of water, cover it over, and let it sit overnight. A lot of times just that still water has a way of dissolving some of those micro salts and flushing out some of the micro sands. You can see as you look through here on the base of the rotor, there's gaps in the rotor here. And if you take that and sand the reel, it's going in there. It's going to hide underneath your rotor. And well, that's probably where most of the sand is. I'm not thinking that most of the sand is in the body, but we won't know until we take that off. So we're going to show you how to take this reel apart, how to service it, how to flush out the old sands, and hopefully Brian gets a reel that's well, better than it is at the moment. I'm going to start by removing the exterior pieces and parts, and as I do, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel if you like fishing reels, if you like to see how they're serviced, how they come apart, how they get cleaned in this case, put back together again, a little bit about the mechanicals behind the reel, and well, a little bit of tips and techniques that apply to all reels regardless of the one that I'm working on. So the first thing usually I tell folks is have a parts strategy, what you're going to do with the pieces and parts that you take off. I use a parts tray. That's only one of many different ways or things that you can do. But whatever it is, decide how you're going to organize your pieces and parts before you start taking them off. If you start taking them off and just putting them in a pile, you're kind of doomed. At some point in time, that pile is going to get knocked around or beat up or something. And, well, you're going to lose a piece and a part, and then you're going to have to go search for one. We started by taking off the handle. It's a screw-through cap. Has a little retainer on there that's going to lock into the main gear. I like to put the screw cap right back onto the handle. That way I don't lose that. Interesting with this one has Torx heads for screws as opposed to basic screws. We have a click mechanism here. We have the washers that are the shim washers for the height adjuster on the line. Those can be alternated. If your line's gathering too much to the top, you remove one. If it's gathering too much to the bottom, you add one. This one should just be pressed on and should be able to be pulled off. That will go into my parts tray. And time for tip number 2. The other tip that I usually try to incorporate right in the beginning of these is that you should take pictures along the way. Now I'm taking pictures. I'm using a video camera to record that. You can use a cell phone, an iPad, a digital camera, whatever kind of image capture device you want. Heck, even go old school and do it on film if you want. But do take those pictures. They will help you, particularly when you see a reel like this. It's got, from what I can see on those pictures, it's got quite a few moving parts inside there. So you're going to want to take the pictures to see what you can do with that. All right, of course I chose the wrong wrench. I keep my wrenches and my tools nearby. That way, when it comes time to go remove the parts, I don't have to put my reel down or do anything weird. All right, let's try and get this set up the right way here. I'll put the one I want. Let's try this one. I have deep sockets too. Okay, this is a normal threaded piece. It comes off counterclockwise. There's no lip on this rotor, so you don't have to worry about using an open end or a box wrench as opposed to a ratchet, but you could use a ratchet if you like. Again, we'll put that right in there. And the first thing I expect to see is sand under the rotor here. And actually, it's pretty clean. That's not terrible. So there are some holes in the rotor here that may have helped to flush some of that out. This reel kind of has to be serviced by going down and pulling everything up. It's just one of the designs there. This has an anti-reverse override. Well, and that's come undone there. So there must be sand that has entered in through this piece. We'll see what we can do with that. Hopefully we don't need to order any parts. I'm going to take this cap off. You're going to need micro screwdrivers for these. Very small. All right, there we go. 2 of those are off. Go in a different corner of my box. Pop the top. And well, we can see why we have no anti-reverse, I think, because this is serving as the anti-reverse clutch here. The inner grab of that bearing, the inner sleeve, is actually part of the rotor assembly. You can see how it's gotten in here. There's some dirt and debris in this. Let's see how we do now. This one's got some noise to it, so I don't normally recommend oil, but we're going to flush this as best we can. I think there's some dirt in that that's in here. I know there's dirt in that that's in there. We're going to just have to see what we can do. Yeah, this one's the one making the noise right here. I can tell that already. One of the alternatives is to try and go out and get the replacement bearing for this, if you wanted to. And that may be what we need to do to quiet this reel down. I'm just going to run a paper towel through here, see if we can't pick up any more of that debris. We're going to set that aside for now. If it gets too noisy, I'm going to contact Brian, and we'll see what he wants to do as next steps. There's 2 screws holding down this bigger bowl, if you will. This is holding in the pinion gear assembly. Again, take the pictures and make sure you know what you're doing with the pieces and parts. 2 screws come out. We'll put those in another corner of my tray. That will release the pinion gear. Let's go over to the tray. These are Torx now. There's a thicker head one for the pump cap. That should help release that. And I don't know why they do this. I think they just want to drive us all a little mad. So you have a thicker Torx there. Now we go back to the Phillips head underneath. And then we go back to the Torx up top. But a different type of Torx screw. So they use all kinds of different screws in this reel. Pay attention, take your pictures, separate your screws for the different sub-assemblies. Let's see if this can come apart now. I think it should just pull out, but one never knows. I'll try and use a little utility knife here to separate. There we go. That should pull that out. Okay. And yeah, we've got the sand and the salt. You can see how it's come in here now. Pull these two pins. They're holding this side assembly together. You want to move that to the bottom. Yeah, you can hear all the noise going on in there. Not sure if the main gear can just come out or not. No. So on these reels, there is a little clip. That's why my safety pin is here. There's a little 5-sided clip that holds this gear in on this side. It's hard to get out, it's harder to get in. But this is the clip you're looking for that you need to remove in order to remove the gear. Now we should be able to bring the gear out on this side. Back this way, bring the two posts out. Now we're going to bring the pinion gear up and out, and we can slide our crosswind block over to the side, remove the main gear. Do it that way. Main gear. We got one more piece here. So we're all out of lubrication. And we are in relatively clean. So what we're going to do now, I think I'll shut the camera off. I'm going to go just do a cleanup. Make sure that we can get the rest of this desanded. Then we'll see how bad that anti-reverse bearing is. And if it's troublesome, we're going to have to go order another one. All right, I'll be back in a couple of moments. Let's pick it up with the cleanup then. I've gone and cleaned all of the teeth, taken off all of the old oils, checked all of the pieces, make sure that they're okay. So we have just a little bit more here. This is a manual process. I was using a brush, some cotton swabs, some penetrating oil as a cleaner. Tested the bearings, they're doing okay. Can go about reinstalling the base of this. I think the issue as far as the noisemaker is concerned is that anti-reverse clutch. I'm going to put it all back together again, and then I'll probably, if I don't like what I hear, I'm going to go back and make sure that we can order the replacement. Okay, let's start with the crosswind block here. These give me a little bit of trouble because you got that pull through on the crosswind block axle shaft combination kind of thing. So if I stumble here, we will know that it's just me. You'll probably do a better job of it. All right, there's a tie down screw that goes next. So I don't think the inner case, the works in here, got damaged terribly. But I do think I need to go back and replace that anti-reverse. This is kind of maddening because they give you this screw that has very small grip to it. Tighten that down, make sure that it's turning properly, and set the stud to the bottom. I'm going to oil the back bearing. These are shielded bearings, they're not sealed. That's some good things, some not good things about that. We just saw one of the not good things about it is that salt water can get in there and eat away at the steel bearings. I'm going to put this bar in next. Let's see if we can clear the... Yeah, we should be able to clear. I'm trying to make sure I clear that main gear think we'll be able to do that. I'm going to grease the main gear now. It's not the front of the main gear we're concerned about. It's trying to grasp the back end of it. And this reel does present a balancing act in doing that. And again, oftentimes I'm wondering how it's made in the plant, because it does seem to be somewhat inefficient. Alright, I'm going to wipe this one side here with the seal. This is the little slot where that pentagon is going to go in. We have a long post that's going to go in on this side. And there's a little hole in the case that needs to be pushed up and in. The shorter post goes here. You're going to notice when you look at the post that there's one side that kind of has a taper on it. Alright, this one just slides in. So we have the one case slides in, the other one, as I mentioned, we're looking for this to seat itself. And you'll know you're tight when you look up through here and see that it's properly seated. I'm just going to put this on to hold it. I'm not going to put the screws in yet, but I do want to hold that. Come over to the other side. Now we have the bearing that goes in. And you want to get that pentagon clip. And this is the one that I struggle with all the time on this reel. You kind of have to get the one corner in. Sometimes it takes a micro screwdriver, but you need to get this in and you need to get it seated, and you need to make sure it doesn't spring out on you while you're doing that. Okay, trust me when I say eventually you will get it. Just requires a little bit of patience. All right, we have our pinion gear now. Restore the grease here. Oil the top bearing. Have a bottom bearing that goes onto this shaft, then the whole piece. Okay, I needed to remove the glove for this. The small bearing goes over the shaft, and we can bring the rest of this down. Remember, you have a little bearing shield on the back end of this pinion gear. Bring this down and merge it in. Make sure that your bearing is flush to the case there. Then we have our wing that's going to hold that assembly down. There's a tapered side on one, and that tapered side faces up. Bring that in. Get those into the two side slots that are holders. get those two little screws. I'm going to put a dab of grease onto this so that I can hold this. And once you have them both started, you can go in with a little bit bigger screwdriver. Finish tightening that down. Okay, that's our setup for this. Next step then, looking for the little post here, right here. That's your override. And you need to merge the hole in this with that post. Center that piece. Then we can lock down the top. Your parts tray, get that piece. And again, if this is too noisy, we're going to go ahead and order the replacement anti-reverse bearing. If it runs smooth, then we don't have any issue there. Case below was clean, so we're not going to suspect anything below of being the big issue there. Once the screws are tightened, let's go ahead and put the rotor back on now. Grab that rotor nut. Again, just a traditional thread. So this goes on a clockwise. We have our little set screw that's going to hold that in place. And I don't know why they need these small pieces here. Just that the engineers know. Well, if you have any questions on this reel or any reel, while I'm struggling with this, if you want to leave those questions in the comments section, go ahead and do that. I will try to answer them. Generally, I try to answer the questions in the morning. And so if you're leaving one on the night before, I will try to answer them the next day. So if you're in a critical mode there, I do apologize, but that's kind of my pattern. All right, we want to take that click ratchet and the two shim washers next. And we can go ahead and tighten this case down now. We're done with the case. The 4 different screws here. So we get the 2 long ones that are Torx. They go up top. If you had any questions, go back and take your pictures. The one that's the Phillips head goes underneath. Really challenge you in your toolbox here. All right, there's one. So we've seen a lot of interesting things with this one. You can't remove the crossline block from the axle shaft. That's kind of the first thing you want to do when you open up a reel like this. That whole thing comes out as one piece. In order to get that out as one piece, you need to remove the main gear. You need to pull the pinion gear up, main gear out. And that leads to the sliding the axle shaft up and out from behind. All right, let's see, do we have this? Looks like we have that. And we have yet another different type of screw below here. Okay, let's put the handle back on. And before we go and test, we're going to do a service on that spool, because if the spool went in, you know the dirt got in there and into the washers. I'm fearing that anti-reverse gear ball bearing is going to need to be replaced. Okay, remove the 5-sided clip. These are felt washers. Nothing wrong with felt washers. Again, we just want to inspect, wipe out the top. You can see that there's water in there, so water does get in from top drags. Alright, put that one back in. This is a 6-sided set. So it's felt washer, and then it's a keyed washer, felt washer, and the geared washer. Those rest in the slots in the spool. Then it's felt washer. Then it's top washer. And we have our clip goes back on. Spool goes back on, and we'll see if we got that kind of a grinding noise, which I believe it's going to happen. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen, that the anti-reverse clutch needs to be replaced in order to quiet the reel down, but the reel can go fishing now. All of the dirt and the debris have been removed from it. They've been re-oiled and re-greased. We showed you how to take the reel apart to service it, just in case yours hasn't gone in the sand and you're just trying to service the reel. And well, I think to complete this reel, we're probably going to need it. Let's take a look. Yeah, we still have that grind. That grind is all about that anti-reverse now. But it does work. All right, we're going to order a replacement anti-reverse clutch. When that comes in, we'll install that much the same way as we did in taking off the top piece of this rotor. We'll get this reel back out to Bruce, and he'll be able to take it fishing again. I hope you've enjoyed that. I want to take a moment to thank our first responders and essential personnel, all our police, fire, safety, rescue, and everybody dedicated to public service. And I want to take a moment to thank you for watching the video, for subscribing, for liking the video, and commenting. That you're what makes the channel work the way it does. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.